What makes a movie a cult classic? Everyone knows a few films that aren't super well known but have devoted fan bases, but it can be hard to define what exactly makes a film cult. Generally, a cult film is one that didn't appeal to everyone, but it did appeal to a select group of fans who treasure these movies when they were cast aside by the mainstream. Although being a cult classic is a term that's applied retroactively by fans, there seems to be some elements that are common between them, like charming characters and atypical plots. Regardless of the genre or production style, these cult classic films are simply endearing and fervently defended by their loyal fan bases. In this video, I'm going to examine some of my favorite cult classic films to see what makes them so special and why fans have latched on to these movies so tightly. Spinal Tap is a mockumentary about a fictional rock band that commits to the joke 100%. The biggest strength of the movie is the performances of the main band members. It feels so natural and conversational that it doesn't feel like actors playing musicians, it just feels like real musicians. This style of performance helps the humor in the film land because the deadpan style of jokes become even funnier when the actors delivering the lines are doing it with full seriousness. It doesn't feel like a deadpan joke, it feels like someone's being serious. The whole movie feels less like a comedy film and more like real people who don't know what they're talking about. This humor manifests in two distinct ways, where the audience can laugh at band members for acting stupid.
Have you ever been to Stonehenge?
No,
the triptychs are 20 feet high. You can stand 4 men up them.
Ian, I was
This
asked to
is
build a
insane.
triptych
This isn't a
18
piece of
inches
scenery.
high. Look, this is what I was asked to build. 18 inches, right here, it's specified, 18 inches. I was given this napkin,
Forget this!
As well as being bad at the art they're making.
The Gospel according to Spinal Tap. This pretentious, ponderous collection of religious rock psalms is enough to prompt the question, what day did the Lord create Spinal Tap, and couldn't he have rested on that day too?
Never heard that one. Good one. That's a good one.
The characters feel real and the mockumentary style feels real, and that's what makes this film so classic to its fan base. Bill and Ted are similarly stupid characters, but they deliver their jokes in a more wacky style than the members of Spinal Tap, who say everything with full sincerity. This commitment to the joke of Spinal Tap went beyond just the initial release of the film, with the home release of the film having a commentary track with the actors in character as Spinal Tap rather than doing commentary as themselves.
Ooh. Black.
Very black.
Always a good choice.
It's like space without the stars, isn't it?
This movie works so well and struck a chord with so many fans because it plays on jokes and expectations about rock musicians and music documentaries. It takes something familiar and twists it just enough to make it funny, while also feeling like a believable documentary. It's not just that the jokes are memorable, but also that the characters themselves are memorable, and they are what makes Spinal Tap so iconic and what fans latch onto. Big Lebowski is a movie that's hard to categorize, and that's part of what makes it a cult classic. It wasn't initially a hit in theaters, but gained a following with fans due to its unconventional plot structure and memorable dialogue.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
The movie has a plot, but it's only a way for scenes to happen rather than something important to follow. It follows Jeff Lebowski, also known as the Dude, being mistaken for a millionaire of the same name, and then getting caught up in a kidnapping case. Connected to this main plot is bowling and surreal dream sequences which don't advance the main plotline but are just fun. This structure didn't work for everyone, but it created a devoted fan base that appreciated what the movie was going for and its refusal to follow a traditional plot structure. In addition to its unique plot, it also features a cast of characters who are all incredibly memorable. You have the Dude's friends Walter.
Am I the only one around here who gives a shit about the rules?
And Donnie.
Walter, he peed on my rug.
He peed on the dude's rug.
Donnie, you're out of your element, dude.
As well as a rival bowling team. And the movie's narrator who eventually meets the Dude. Each of these characters have tons of memorable lines which have endured in the minds of fans. This movie is so quintessentially a cult classic because it's not at all like the movies that came before it, and while this does alienate the mainstream audience, it also helps create a personal connection with its fans. Instead of just enjoying the film, they connect with these characters and memorize the unique dialogue and celebrate the fact that the plot doesn't make much sense. It's not a film for everyone, but it's a film where the elements really resonate with a certain segment of the audience. Clerks was an entirely new style of movie when it released. Rather than having a studio and production budget, it was made with only $28,000, shot in black and white to save money, with the actors just being people that director Kevin Smith knew. Despite what seems like limitations, these aspects of the film made it a cult hit. The dialogue of the film and the situations weren't like previous comedy films, instead being much more natural and based on experiences and people that Kevin Smith knew. This style of writing didn't work for everyone, but fans of the movie appreciated how real the characters were and how they talked about things in a way that the audience might.
What did you like better, Jedi or The Empire Strikes Back?
Empire.
Blasphemy.
Empire had the better ending. I mean, Luke gets his hand cut off, finds out Vader's his father, hand gets frozen, taken away by Boba Fett. It ends on such a down note.
Just like in Spinal Tap, this style of dialogue makes the humor less about the punchline and more about the characters because it feels so natural and it's so easy to envision these characters as someone you know rather than just an actor. Similar to Big Lebowski, Clerks doesn't have a central plot, but instead it's just a series of events that take place within the quick stop. This structure allows jokes to be made more freely and with less setup than if they needed to connect to some central plot. Clerks became a cult classic because of how different it was from other movies at the time, as well as how relatable it was. As opposed to movies with experienced directors and big studio funding, Kevin Smith wasn't that different from the audience that was watching Clerks, so it felt like you were just watching real friends hanging out for 90 minutes. This authenticity of the film and the bare-bones nature of the film as a result of its low budget cemented it in the minds of fans because of how real it felt and how charming the characters were. Clerks was completely separate from the style of most movies of the time, and in doing so became iconic because of how it did everything differently and did so on a small budget. Not everyone can agree on what exactly makes a movie a cult classic, but it's generally understood that these movies are special. They may not be for everyone, but for a select group of fans, these movies really resonate with them. These movies take risks and break the mold of standard filmmaking practices, but in doing so create something that makes an impression in the minds of the audience. Whether it's unique characters or a crazy plot structure, cult films may not be for everyone, but they're so special to those who appreciate them. My favorite cult classic is Hellraiser, but there are a ton of great movies that I didn't touch on, so let me know your favorite in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more videos about movies every week.